channel is sponsored by Great Bay Outfitters. Great Bay Outfitters is a waterfront kayak shop located near Great Bay. They are New Jersey's #1 volume dealer of Old Town kayaks. Great Bay Outfitters specializes in fishing kayaks and offers demos, rentals, repair, rigging, and a full assortment of PFDs, dry suits, motors, paddles, and accessories from many major brands. What is up, everyone? I am back. It's been way too long since I've put out some videos. Long story short, been dealing with some family health issues that kind of needed my immediate attention, so took a month off from fishing, but we're finally back out. First time since March 6th that I've been out, so a little rusty, but a little excited to get a quick trip in. Let me show you what we're about to be doing. So I went with my daughter. We dug up some of these Asian shore crabs. I figure I'm going to do some tog fishing before the month of April's over. Water temperature right now is in the mid-50s, so it should be ideal. Let me show you what I'll be working with. I got a Bottom Sweeper Jig with a crab. Alright, let's start with a Asian shore crab. This one looks pretty good. Let's see how bad I lost my touch, if I lost it. Actually, we're gonna split this guy in half. He's kind of a little too big for one bait. There we go. Half a crab on a jig. Just turned the kayak. Had a little bit of a tap, but they did not take the crab, so I'm dropping her back down. The fact that we're having life, though, is good. Oh, there we go. All right, little guy, little dink to start the day. All right, though, that's good feeling, man. You go from not catching fish for a month, even these little guys, man, bring joy. A little female tog. Alright, I'm trying a different piling for right now. Was getting tapped to death by like some real small togs, so figure let's try somewhere else. We don't have as much time as I'd love to have to fish, but so we're kind of popping around, searching for that good fish. There's those little hits again. There we go. That's a better fish. Oh yeah, that's definitely a nicer fish. Oh yeah, what do we got? Oh yeah, that's an upgrade. That ain't a world record, but it's an upgrade from that little guy we had earlier. Yeah, he's gonna be just under the legal limit in New Jersey. All right, that's why you kind of gotta poke your head around, man. If you're not finding the right fish, you gotta kind of search. This time of year can be real hit or miss. Especially springtime with the weather fluctuating. Like yesterday it was 76 degrees, today it's a cool 50, but getting a fresh crab on. Hopefully there's some bigger ones down there. I'd say that last one was probably 13 inches maybe, just guessing. If you follow my channel, you know I'm not really measuring those fish that often unless it's something super spectacular, or if I'm trying to keep something to eat. But I think today we're gonna let everything go, just for good luck. Ooh, there's definitely some rust, man. I'll tell you, it's one of those things, you know, you spend the whole winter not doing this type of fishing, You know, the last time I was out doing some jig fishing was November. So you figure you got December, January, February, March, 5 months out of the year that I don't even touch a jig or this type of fishing. And you definitely can lose the touch, but after a few trips it comes back. Like the timing of hook sets, especially with Tautog when they're real finicky. When it's like heat of the season and they're going wild, man, and they're just grabbing it and going. Right now it seems like they're just kind of picking at it. That last fish picked it up and I could feel the tension. But see, like that's like little picks. Oh, and he took me into the snag. Got him out though. Yeah, there's some type of structure right there that I got snagged on. But see what I mean? You can see the crab, they're just picking at it. They're not really grabbing it and going. That could also mean that there's some smaller fish down there, smaller than what we've caught. Now a crab that size, that's like a one hitter. Could fit the whole crab on a hook like that. Usually when there's some bigger fish around, that size crab is like the go-to. That like one bite size, I always seem to do very well with that size crab. Yeah, I can see some fish right off the bottom on my sonar. There's like they're definitely a school of fish. Further down, just trying to stay off that snag because typically those bigger fish are good at running you into it. Yeah, there it is again. Oh. There he is, there he is. That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh yeah. Ah, son. That's the one we're waiting for. Oh yeah, that's the white chinner right there, I guarantee it. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, look at that hoss. I didn't even bring a net. True Guggen style. Look at that. I knew that was gonna be a white chinner just by the way he fought. I mean, look at that beaut. That's a keeper all day in New Jersey. Absolute beauty. But like I said, for good luck, man, for not being out on the water, first Tautog trip of the year, we're gonna let everything go today. That's one of the luckiest Tautog in New Jersey right there. Now what's interesting, man, is every year is different. You know, you get different water temperatures, different you know, water patterns that you get, but one thing always seems to hold true, man. The last few weeks of April, the inshore Tautog fishing here is as good as it, you know, really is all year for catching fish of size. Once May, June roll around, depend on how quick the water warms up, a lot of these bigger fish do head back out to the wrecks. You know, on occasion you get some decent ones closer to the inlet, closer to like cooler water, but they are a cold water fish. So once that temp starts to skyrocket in the back, that's when you start to see a lot of the bigger ones move out and a lot of the babies kind of fill these bridges. It can be pretty relentless. Oh, there we go. That's another good one. It can be pretty relentless in the summertime, man. If you got kids, it's a great, you know, fishery to occupy little kids. But aside from that, it's they become a nuisance in the summer when, you know, every month but August, you know, you're not allowed to keep them. April and August are the two big months until you get to the fall. Man, that's another nice one. Nah, he'd probably be a heartbreaker. And he's a male. Now, I do a lot of these Tautog videos, and I'm sure you guys have watched them all. This time of year, man, it's really hard to beat fresh crabs. These Asian shore crabs are super easy to keep alive and catch. I took my daughter about 5 days ago when I had an inkling that I was going to be able to get out at least one day. And, you know, they've been sitting on my front porch in a bucket, this bucket with a wet rag. I mean, as long as you change the water on the rag and you rinse them every few days and the air temperature stays relatively cool, you can keep them for a while, man. Oh, I missed it. Doing the death spin, I missed it. And the beauty too about, you know, not to beat on these crabs, they are an invasive species to New Jersey and to the eastern seaboard or any parts of that North America where they're not native, but they sure are a great bait. I mean, stripers, flounder, tog, sheep's head. I've caught weak fish and bluefish on them, if you can believe that. I feel like they're like the New Jersey shrimp. I know we have grass shrimp, but like you go down to Florida and like some of them southern states and you have live shrimp or fresh dead shrimp. That seems to be like the ticket for most species. Same thing up here, man. I feel like crabs are the, you know, go-to forage for a lot of these fish in the back bays. You know, you look at a lot of the flounder you fillet in the summertime and how many of them are loaded with crabs. Oh, I think I might have just missed out on that one. Nope, but he came back. Little guy though. What's crazy, even a small one like this gives you such a good fight. Another female. Now you can tell coloring. Actually, this actually looks like a male, my bad. In the water, it kind of looked like a female, but that's definitely a male. Now here's another tip that probably some guys don't want me to tell you. Most of the time you could drop straight to the bottom and catch fish, but if you look on my depth finder, you see all the marks that are kind of suspended up. Ooh. Sometimes you could find some bigger fish. Oh man, as I'm telling you, that was only about 10 feet down. Sometimes you can find some bigger fish sitting up in that higher water column. I don't know what it is, but sometimes you could hit the jackpot just a few feet under the kayak. I do notice it definitely fluctuates tide to tide. Certain tides are better than others for, you know, finding those fish that are suspended up. I've always found, which is kind of interesting, if you have like a full moon type tide, whether it be low or high, that extreme like current, on those days I find fish like sitting higher up on pilings than the bottom, and I'm not sure if that has anything to do with the amount of current there is, or just kind of an interesting thing I've noticed. Whoa, that's a big fish. That might be a striper. No, it's a tog. That's a tog. Bigger tog, I think. I don't know. That hit like a banshee. Oh, that's why. Wait till you see how this guy's hooked. Look like I'm live lining him. I think in all my years, I don't think I've ever caught a tog like that in the top of the head. The sad thing is this guy probably didn't even get the crab. One of his buddies underneath him probably did. Man, I'll tell you what, days like this, kind of shooting myself in the foot for not catching a few more crabs. I thought 50 would be enough, but if this bite continues to go the way it's been going, I think I'm going to be out of bait in about 20 minutes or less. When I start to hit those days, like where you know you're just flying through crabs, I do try and split them in half and try and save as many as I can. What's funny is I normally bring a thing of frozen sand fleas, but I figured today I wasn't going to be out very long, so I didn't think I was going to blow through these crabs as quick as we are. Yeah, there's definitely some bigger marks, like suspended off the bottom. Not directly on the bottom, but like maybe 5-6 feet up. I think those might be some bigger tog. And then you see these clusters on the bottom, which I think are just schools of smaller tog. Wow. Might have gotten robbed right there. That was 2 really solid hits. Dang. Nah, I got lucky. What I also try and recommend, you want to keep a little bit of the hook point out of the meat. Definitely will help you overall with hook sets. I know some guys say, oh, you got to bury the hook, but these fish this time of year, especially in water this dirty, they don't care if there's a hook. If they see a fresh crab, they're eating it. But the hook being slightly exposed will help you in the long run with hook sets, because if you're trying to set a hook through a crab shell, you're gonna whiff on a lot of fish. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Alright, so I don't normally do this, but I'm switching rods. Kind of an identical rod reel setup. The only difference on this rod is I have a 1/4 ounce jig. Let me tighten that drag. There we go. Why I'm moving down a 1/4 ounce, the tide is kind of slowing down slightly, and when you can get away with using lighter tackle, you should always try to. One, I do believe the fight of the fish is that much greater when you're not fighting the weight of the hook or the jig. Also, from a sensitivity standpoint, not as much with tog, because tog are pretty forthright when they're attacking your jig. Like they're not like some fish that people would claim to have like a lighter bite, but it does definitely help maximize that sensitivity of your jig. But what's crazy is, like, I think back to when I was a kid, man, and all the tog fishing I did before like jigs became popular. Oh man, that was a good hit. I remember fishing with my dad's like beef combo, like real thick rod, big conventional reel, 5-6 ounce bank sinkers. Like, makes this fishing seem so much easier. I mean, damn. What's funny, that old school style of fishing, man, there's still a lot of old timers I see fishing the bridges with that, you know, heavy gear, and you know, more power to them. If that's the way you enjoy fishing, I'm not, you know, who am I to tell you what's right or wrong? I don't think there's a right or a wrong. It's just, that's actually a nice fish. I think it's more up to your comfort level and experience. Some of them old timers, man, like 80s, 90s, they've been fishing that way since forever. All right, let's drop her back down. I'm gonna stay higher up in the water column for a little bit. That last fish was up there. And it does seem when I'm, you know, 10, 15, even 20 feet down, not technically on the bottom, I have been getting better strikes. I've yet to bring a fish in that was smaller from, you know, up in the water column. And what I'll do every once in a while, I'll start like 5, 6 feet down. In my head, I'm counting to about 10 or so. If I don't get a bite, I kind of just slowly drop it a few more feet down. And what I think that does help, one, you're scanning the entire, you know, length of the piling. But on top of that, I do think it kind of looks similar to like the crabs when they're trying to crawl away and kind of scurry up the pole. Can't tell you how many times I've seen that, like on a clear day where you see like blue claws and other crustaceans that are... Oh, there's a fish. Man, that's a nice one. Backpedal out of this current. Maybe not as nice as I thought. That first run felt good, but he's about the same cookie cutter, probably 13, give or take. Now you don't have to rip the shell off. I just rip the shell off because it gets the scent in the water, and it also provides a softer area for me to thread the hook through. I know some guys that believe in putting the whole crab on, leaving the shell on, and just kind of cracking it a little bit. That works too. But for whatever reason, I've always found, especially with Tautog, like if the more scent in the water seems to be best. I know you guys, if you're watching my channel, you probably watch like John Skinner and guys like that. And, you know, he's like one of the greatest Tautog fishermen that you'll ever see. And he talks about building up bites, and the same exact concept of like, when you find a spot like this that has fish, you know, you got to commit some time to it. We'll be chumming the water with, you know, the legs of the green crabs and whatever crabs he's using. At this point, I probably only got maybe 20 minutes left, tops, to fish, so I'm probably not going to explore much further away from here, just because I don't think I'll be able to find a part of the bridge that will have as many fish right now. This time of year it could get real popular. I saw a handful of guys out today just kind of hitting different spots on the bridge. I actually haven't fished this part of the bridge in a while, but there were two guys, two different spots that I really wanted to hit. But that's fishing for you. Early bird gets the worm. That's one of the funny things I've noticed about this type of fishing that I never understood. Most guys are really good, and if they see somebody's fishing, you know, an area of a bridge, at least in the area I fish, people are pretty respectful. They'll give you your space. Very rarely in the summer you'll be on a spot as small as this one and somebody will pull up on you and ask if they could tie up right next to you. And to me, that I never understand, unless you know the person. I would never in a million years pull up on somebody at a piling as small as this and ask them if I could fish next to them. You know what I mean? Like, there's way too many spots in the bay, the ocean. It's like the guys that when you go out wreck fishing, that there's a million wrecks off the beaches in New Jersey, and you got guys fighting over, you know, one little small piece of a wreck, you know, miles off the beach. Oh, there's a good hit. He might have got me on that one. Oh, he got me. Son of a gun. I'm gonna get that one. Yeah, look at that. took half the crab. Just when I thought I was on a streak, I start to go back to that cold streak, man. I think once I got maybe 5 minutes left, I might hit one little span on my way back, that's on my way back, just to see. Because I'm always curious, you know, how different areas, some areas could be boom or bust. But right now, we're getting a steady, you know, a little bit of action. Oh man, son of a gun. Dang. That was a good hit again. There he is. Oh yeah. How I missed. Man, that's a nice fish. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I won't try that other spot. I mean, for this time of year, for the wind conditions and water conditions we got right now, I can't be more happy. It's a beautiful fish. Pregnant female, I believe. Now I'm going big or going home on this one. This is probably a crab I should have split in half, but I'm hoping there's a bigger fish. The last few times I came out in the fall, I experimented with some bigger baits towards the end of the trip. And what was interesting was when those bigger fish are around and you present that bait, they were like on it like you couldn't believe. But there are certain times of the year where you really couldn't get away with fishing a crab that big in an area like this, just because you just get picked to death by sea bass, small tog, oyster toads, you know, you name it. Ooh, something's messing with it. Hopefully it commits. Oh, I dropped it. And see, like a crab that size, I'm not gonna try and set the hook on those first few taps, because what will end up really happening if it's a smaller fish like which was just hitting us, me setting the hook's just gonna rip it right out of the fish's mouth. Yeah, there's smaller fish picking at it right now. Oh, son of a gun. And then I got a good hit right after it. You'd always tell when it's a bigger fish, when they lift it, like it goes slack, like they're swimming up with it. Typically the smaller fish won't do that. That's why the old saying, set on the slack, could not hold more true. I noticed that with sheep's head a lot. When you get that real brief slack period in your line, you almost got to just instantly throw your shoulder into it. There's definitely a school of fish now just kind of hovering right on that one little part, and I could tell there's some type of structure right behind it that they're on. Could be a part of the bridge that broke off, or who knows what, man. There's a lot of debris around. There we go. Took me a second to get that guy. Big female. Swing her around. And yeah, this one's loaded with eggs, man. You can just tell. Look at her stomach. We're gonna take good care of her. That's the future of, you can see how big her stomach is. This is that spawning type time of the year for them. Tell you what, man, I think after today's showing, I think I'm gonna get my daughter out on the boat tomorrow, as long as the weather holds right. This is the type of fishing you love to take your kids, because there's really not much downtime. Like, I don't know about you if you've had kids, but oh son, I know my daughter likes catching fish. Like most kids, they don't want to sit there holding the rod. They want to feel something pulling on the other side. Son.